Hi, welcome to Selfseeds. Now this video is going to be a little bit different than the other ones and it's a little bit of a look into a daily routine. It starts with feeding the horses. So of course for people that have horses, this is all normal, but part of where we hope to share and create videos is also for people that don't have horses that might be curious and interested in what happens in the life with horses. So in this case, I have this little shed on the property. I'm a guest at the property. I'm allowed to have my horses and train, and they allocated me this little shed. Now, the black containers are bowls. They're kind of like your cereal bowl that I use to put this dry feed in. So they get hay, they eat grass, but now I'm giving them this extra feed every day. So different amounts according to what the horses need. Now, in some of the other videos, you've met the horses that are part of the group right now. I have 5 horses. I actually own the 5 horses. I have Squidward, the big gray horse. He's 5 and he's about 17.1. And he has his first bowl with the most feed in it. The next bowl that you just saw me put feed in is for Lincoln. You haven't met Lincoln yet. He's a half Arab, half Trakehner. I think he's 9 years old. Really cool horse. And then this little bowl on there, one of them's for Nador. He is like an air fern for horses. So I have to be careful of how much he eats. And then also the third bowl on the left is for Claire. I think you've met Claire. She's a 4-year-old warm blood, and she gets a little bit more. And then the 5th bowl is for Bugs. Bugs gets one of the round ones that's small because Bugs and Nador are easier keepers. And so just like us, nutrition, amounts, all of that has to be looked at. Now you could see the little minis that are loose on the property. They're waiting outside the door because they hear the bags wrinkling, they smell the feed, and they want to see if they can have some of that. So part of being on the property is there's this small herd of minis and Shetlands and mini burros that are roaming around the property. So I have to be diligent that every time I do something, I close the door, open the door to make sure they don't get in there, because if they eat all of this feed, they can end up with a problem called founder, where they end up with problems in their feet, and it's quite serious. So right now you see I'm adding water. This is kind of like adding milk to your cereal bowl. I'm adding water to the dry feed. It's pelleted so that it can help in the digestion. So what happens is when these pellets get water, they expand. So I'm kind of pre-expanding the pellets, because sometimes if horses eat dry feed, then all of a sudden it expands, and sometimes it can create an impaction in their intestinal tract. So I'm just pre-soaking the pellets a little bit, and so again it kind of makes it a little bit easier for the digestion. All right, so now we've done almost the beginning preparation of the bowls and wetting the feed. So the next part of it is now me walking around to the different places that I feed the horses. Now what's fun about all of this is also it could be like a Selfseeds exercise, fitness, agility, you know, inward evaluation. While every day I do this, this is like a meditative walk that I take. I spend about a half hour preparing the feeds, taking the feeds to where the horses go to eat. So in this case, this is Claire's place. It's the first paddock that I'm going to. Now her food is going in this bowl, this container, because she tends to get her feet in the bucket and knocks her feet over on the dirt. So I put it in the bigger bucket. I have choices while I'm walking around. Do I walk through the gate? Do I open the gate? So I kind of like the agility training while I'm walking around, that I use the equipment and the exposure to what's there to kind of play with my fitness. And you'd be surprised, just because you have to do like a squat moving through the gate instead of opening it and walking through it normally. I do a fair amount of walking to and from. At this point, the walking is to put the feed down, but then there'll be another phase where I walk moving the horses to where the feed is. Now, this trailer that you just walked by, that wasn't there yesterday. So it's a training opportunity. If a horse is afraid of a trailer or something new and it has to walk by, it's again, this place has so many training opportunities with the loose minis, the vehicles getting moved around all the time, new stuff showing up, piles of junk here and there, tarps, people feeding, driving, dogs running. So because my job is training and preparing young horses and older horses for other opportunities in their life, this is an amazing place for all of that. Now, when I first came here, I was a little skeptical about the safety because there's so much stuff around and what's happening, but it's like everything. You work with what's there. One of the other amazing things that I love about being here is the horses are in giant fields. Okay, here's my agility opportunity. Container in one hand, climbing over the structure, balance, integration, fitness, all of that is kind of fun. Now, this is Squidward's area. Squidward is the large gray horse. He also tends to get his feet in the buckets, so I put the feet in here, and so he has less of an opportunity to knock the feet over into the dirt. I have done the buckets on the fence, but when I put the buckets on the fence, he still gets his feet up there, and there's other problems because there's horses touching all the fence edges, so I have to, again, you're problem solving. You start with one idea, you see how it goes, and then you change. Now I'm walking to get the hay. That's the next part of the feeding. I've put the cereal bowls down with the milk, and now I'm walking to get the hay. So the horses are eating grass every day. That's Bermuda that grows in the desert. It's watered and irrigated, but they're also fed dry hay, and then I feed them this extra feed as kind of a snack or lunch, or trying to balance out if the horses need extra, that they get the extra part at this point. This is the hay stack. In this case, this is alfalfa that I use as extra feed. And a big part of feeding isn't just the size of the flake, it's the weight of it. So in this case, this bale of hay, the feed is really dense, so I pick everything up. You'll see me as I am feeding hay, picking up, weighing, because that's kind of a big deal when you feed horses, is the pounds of feed that they get in a day. Different flakes of hay can weigh different amounts, so part of the art of feeding is weighing everything and having a sense of that. Kind of old school a little bit, but still overlooked in the modern age, and also very important. And you see on the left, Nador and Bugs. Now I'm just giving them a little fun snack because they're the foodies of the group and they don't get a lot of extra feed. But in order for them psychologically to feel like they're part of the feeding and they're getting something, I just threw them a little tiny corner of the hay. Now this hay is, again, for Squidward. As you can see, Squidward's queuing up at the gate. He knows the routine, and he's ready to come in and start eating. So again, what's fun is, you drive up, and the feed person's here, my riding feed person, and they start going to where they know they need to be at the gates and different things so that I can let them in to get feed. I like to feed them. I know before, depending on my time, sometimes I feed them after, but I like to establish a routine, and it works out really well. The ones that almost get nothing extra digestive-wise, I think they're fine with just eating a little tiny snack and me working them. And at this point, I'm riding all of these horses or doing something with them every day, but none of them are getting hard work. And so the balance about when they eat and how, and this way, the ones that eat more feed, I work them at the end of the list. So it works out pretty well. Now, I'm getting my last batch of hay for Lincoln, Claire, and for Bugs, because I will bring Bugs into the corral. I like the horses to get used to being caught and brought into small spaces too, because most of these horses will go on and be somebody's probably show horse or something else that requires living inside of a space And so it's also a training of the horses to be flexible. Now that cute little Minnie, he's waiting there, he's nickering at me, you can't hear it. So I gave him a little snack, a little handful. Again, we have to be careful, but they're pretty adorable. I mean, you see all these little guys, and they're just adorable. They're always looking for food opportunities, and you can't blame them, but at the same time, we have to be careful. And there's plenty for them to eat during the day and what they find in snacks. So all of that's good. So again, as you can see, what's cool is I'm carrying something. It's a fitness. Sometimes I'm at places I'm carrying buckets. In this case, I'm feeding the extra hay, and I'm not feeding heavy amounts of feed in the buckets because the horses now, some of them when they came were really thin, and now they're at a good weight. So I'm managing that the feed is a little bit less of the concentrated, but I like horses to eat hay. It's good for them in terms of their digestion and their mind that they get to eat and graze. They get to wear their teeth down. They get to, again, assimilate food that's natural. So now that's Claire's hay. And then I'm going to feed, oops, oh, the mini burros are in the pen. Somebody left the gate open. Oh, I need water. So I always check all the water for the horses. So I'll get water. And now I've got to somehow figure out how to get the minis out of there. So I don't deal a lot with the mini burros, but they're pretty adorable. The tiny one, let's see, yeah, the tiny one you can see off to the back is Pebbles. Pebbles is only 2 months old. I'm going to go turn the water on so the bucket can fill while I'm feeding. And now I've got to figure out how to get the mini burros out. So what I'll do is I'm going to take the hay that's for Bugs, and you can see he gets a lot less hay than everybody else, but he so loves coming in and eating his little snack. I'm going to bribe the minis with the feed and see if they'll just come out if I just put a little hay on the ground. Whoop, there's Pebbles. So let's see if I can use hay. This is like premier hay, so the horses and everybody loves it. They're always trying to get a snack. Got 2 of them out. Now I'm going to have to go move Pebbles by hand. Let's see. Pretty adorable, though. I've seen Pebbles even at his age. There was a guy here who literally could pick Pebbles up like a giant Great Dane. Okay, shushing isn't working because he's fearless. So I'm going to have to try to kind of push him a little bit and guide him and hope that he goes out. Whoop, there he goes. Good. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and put the feed down for Bugs, and I'm going to close the gate. So, because again, it's amazing. You just turn around and there they are again. You could see, again, when I was feeding, preparing the feed, oh, you see Claire off to the right. She's ready for me to put a halter on her and bring her in. But you could see they're all quick. Oh, the minis have gone and to do other things. They're probably down trying to find hay. I'm going to go ahead and get a halter that I use for everybody. And my first horse that I'm going to get will be Claire. And again, Claire is the 4-year-old warm blood. She's going to be an amazing, amazing hunter. And she's just turning out to be this wonderful, young, fearless horse who's really athletic and, oh my gosh, the smoothest canter. And she just is going to be amazing. Of all the horses that I have right now, she is the most fearless about wanting to go see everything, and if something new comes along that she doesn't overreact to it. Again, very impressive for a young horse. Now what's cool is they know the routine, so she's left the herd. She has a good friend that she hangs out with all day. She left the herd to come in because it's the routine. So they're watching, they're studying me. I'm like, really, I study them, but they're also always watching and studying me. So a good practice is she comes away from the herd. She's not nervous about being by herself. She comes into a pen. She gets to learn about being next to other horses. So lots of training on a very, very subtle level continues to happen, and just these small details in the day. Now before you saw that bucket knocked over, I've picked that bucket up so many times with the stuff in it, but again, the minis and everything roaming around. So I'm going to give in to it and just leave the bucket on the ground. So Belle's going to use that stuff to wrap a horse that's in the field. Okay, I'm coming for the next horse. Oh, here are the minis. They're hanging out. They're hoping for some hay. I have to be careful to feed the horses in the pens in the middle, because when they eat, they tend to move the hay closer and closer to the fence, and then the minis end up getting a snack by eating the feed along the fence. So all of this becomes the design. Oh, there's Lincoln. I don't think you've met Lincoln in the earlier videos. He's the coolest horse. Yep, you could see on that white foot behind, he's having a little trouble, and I think he has an abscess brewing in his foot. So I'm going to, yesterday I was suspicious. Today he's a little more sore on it. So I'm going to go ahead and put some medicine on his foot and wrap it with tape and hopefully start drawing the abscess out. So Lincoln is coming through now. I make a point to scratch their head, and in Lincoln's case, he was a year ago, I could not touch his ears. Absolutely, it was really difficult to bridle him and things. He just absolutely. So I love when he likes now that I scratch him on the head and rub his ears. He's a really sensitive, intelligent horse, very trainable, but you have to be very careful. Okay, now we have the horse trailer and the paddock. This is new with the trailer there. So he's having to kind of look and think about how he's going to turn. Having the trailer there is new. A little bit worried, but he did it. He thought his way through it. He didn't run over the top of me. He didn't run any bad direction, so all good. And again, now I'm going to get Bugs. Here's Bugs. He's going to come in and have a little micro snack number 2 because he had a little bit already. And Nador knows the routine. He knows he isn't the one being caught, so he's waiting for me to catch Bugs. I'll take Bugs out. They spend the day together in that paddock because they tend to be the foodies and they don't need to be grazing all day. And so Nador, he knows. He's waiting. I'll be back with his little feed bucket. And again, I just love this sense of community. I'm checking on Squid. Yeah, look, he already had eaten his bucket and knocked it out of the white tub, but at least the hay's still in the middle of the field. Now I'm taking Bugs down by the trailer. When he came a year ago, he was afraid of the trailers. So this is another great opportunity for him to walk by the trailer quietly. Oh, the water's overflowing. I got to turn the water off. Yeah, and then I'll let Bugs. Now, he's a little bit, because he's a foodie, there he's trying to pull me to the food. So I'm like, no. And I make him wait. Because again, this is all part of the helping him to be safe and manageable so that people on the ground aren't getting knocked over and pushed or bitten or kicked. And there's a big responsibility in handling horses on the ground to have them become thoughtful about what the two-legged is doing. They have their agenda. He wants to eat, but at the same time, he needs to wait and think a little bit about what I'm doing so that it ends up being, safe. Now, in this case, I'm bringing his food bucket second, and he has to learn again to be polite while I put his bucket down. And now I'm going to go feed Nador. So this whole process has taken, I did a little bit of clip cutting, but 20 minutes, 30 minutes to do all the moving, the feeding, the watering the buckets, the getting the hay, moving the horses. And it's great because it really, truly is like a daily meditation for me. I get to energetically be with all the horses. I get to see how they look. Are they sound? Are they safe? And then I get to interact with them in a really nice way.